Hello and welcome to live coverage of the Audi Sports R8 LMS Cup. We are here at the Ningbo International Speed Park. Sean Henshaw, it's great to be back. First impressions of a debut circuit for the Cup.
Well, fantastic. Interestingly, talking to Frankie Chung, one of China's most experienced campaigners, he reckons this is now the most challenging circuit in China. And of course, the very first time in 7 seasons of the Cup that we've been here. Fantastic, really is a great circuit.
Now it's just over about 4 kilometres in length, a lot of turns, so it's pretty busy for them, isn't it?
Well, considered technical once you've got that many turns in such a relatively short circuit. A little bit of undulation, but the drivers are very busy. Not a lot of straights and maybe not a lot of overtaking opportunities. We'll see how that goes not too far from now, but it's going to be a very interesting track to see just how it plays out.
Now it is late afternoon local time here in China if you're tuning in from around the world. The weather has been pretty nice. It's pretty beautiful given it's late summer in this part of the world, but it was raining earlier. So is that how much of a consideration is that going to be for the drivers?
Well, it'll be interesting as we see the cars just coming back down pit lane now, just getting that extra lap through. Through goes the championship points leader, Andrew Haryanto, but the weather could play a part. It's a little overcast. It did rain about an hour ago. That could have an effect. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Now, I'll join you up in commentary shortly. It's certainly going to be an interesting race. Of course, 16 laps of the race journey. This is the 5th round of the 2018 Audi Sport RS LMS Cup. Let's take a look at how the last round at Nürburgring played out in Germany. It was a couple of months ago, but that too presented with an interesting result.
After Australia, the Cup journeyed to Germany for the second event of the season as part of the famed Nürburgring 24-hour race weekend, forming a focal point in the heart of the impressive Audi campers, which included 10 Audi entries in the headline event and 7 in the WTCR race. Against a number of experienced German teams, the Cup regulars faced a second circuit at which few had prior experience. That didn't deter Berat Birambakti, the Thai driver setting a stunning pole time before driving away from the field in the opening race to claim his maiden Cup victory ahead of Andrew Haryanto and Germany's Carsten Tilke. The reigning AM Cup champion then took a second win in round 4 after points leader Haryanto was forced off the circuit in a battle for the lead with Yasser Shahin. Shahin had been amongst the fastest drivers at the Nürburgring all weekend, but contact with Haryanto in round 3 forced him down pit lane for a tyre change, whilst in round 4 a late passing move ended in tears for both drivers. That allowed Cup favourite Sun Jingzhou through to second after a great battle to take the position away from Tilke in the closing stages. Another great chapter also began for the Cup in Germany, GT4 making its official debut with a fantastic battle all weekend between local star Stefan Weininger and former World Superbike champion Carlos Checa, who made his first ever GT start in a Ducati liveried LMS GT4. Weininger claimed both wins from Checa, however it was Indonesia's Anderson Tanoto who stole the spotlight in round 4. Not even contact in the final few corners and heavy damage to the front of the car could prevent him from making the podium, much to the delight of the fans.
Our first visit to the Nürburgring was certainly an exciting one, and it was amazing to be right inside the Audi campus during the 24-hour weekend. Now we're back in Asia at this new Ningbo circuit, which opened late last year. It's just 4 kilometers in length, and it keeps the drivers very busy with 23 turns each lap. Let's check it out.
Well, thanks very much, Sophie. And my partner in crime, Sean, is right in the thick of things down on the grid. and we'll be crossing live to him in just a few moments' time. He can fill you in with all the latest from the drivers. We are just a few moments away from race time here at the Ningbo International Speed Park. And we are looking at 16 laps of racing, with the start about 12 minutes away. Now let's take a look at this circuit. 23 turns and just over 4 kilometers in length. As we were saying down there a moment ago, it is pretty busy. Now, a couple of areas to highlight. 6, 7, 8 and 9, a lot going on there for the drivers before this hairpin. That's the first area they need to watch. And then there's a bit of a jump towards coming around here. 17, 18, 19 is a bit of a camber change, and then that final section through 21, 2 and 3 completing the lap. But lots of areas, and there's no real long straights for the drivers to get a breather, but always on the move. So no real long straights for passing, but opportunities just because other drivers may be making a mistake because it's such a technical track. We've seen in some of the other races that's where the overtakes have been already earlier in this weekend. Now the drivers are just doing their final preparations, and we can head down in just a moment to the thick of things. Sean Henshelwood is the man on the spot, and that grid will clear in just a few short moments. Right now, Sean is alongside Martin Kuhl, the head of Audi Sport Customer Racing for Asia. Now let's join them now.
Well, Martin Kuhl, it's nice to be back. 7th season of the Cup. It was born in China. We're back in China after a start in Australia and then Germany. Seems like a while between drinks.
Absolutely. And to be back here now for the first China round of this season, but still at a new circuit. We've been doing this for 7 years, but now first time in Ningbo, a new circuit and a great circuit. Drivers love it already, and it's amazing that the local people here built this circuit and together with us can more develop the motorsport in the region. Amazing.
It's great too to see Jingzu Sun behind us on the front row of the grid. What a great development he's had. And of course last weekend in the Suzuka 10 Hours in Japan, he was a real standout. And of course alongside him the man who dominated at Nürburgring, Burit Bhirombhakdi.
Sure. Jingzu has improved dramatically over this year. He participated in the Suzuka 10 Hours, a very tough race. He did very well there and came back and directly translated into even a better pace. So learning a lot. Yeah, and Burit, he won the last 2 races. He has a bit of success bias today with 50 kilo, but he's on pole, had a very good qualifying, so let's see. I think he can do it.
I think it's going to be interesting. I'll let you go and congratulate the drivers. We're about to clear the grid, but we'll go and have a bit of a look at just how this grid is going to go. Congratulations for round 5. Of course, Sun Jingzhu on the front row of the grid. What a great job the Chinese driver has been doing this year. Of course, an amateur championship in 2018 after 6 years with the professional drivers. A lot of those professional drivers have moved on to the Blancpain Series and various other GT championships around the region. One of those that has done a lot of miles behind the wheel of a GT3 car is Burit Bhirombhakdi, who's sitting on the front row, pole position for the Thai driver. Of course, won rounds 3 and 4 in Germany. Last time out when we were at the Nürburgring. So, of course, we're back in Asia. And the championship points leader, 71 points to the 63 that Burit Bhirombhakdi has in this championship. Andrew Haryanto's got a little bit of work to do. We did talk to him before the race. He said, I'm about 1.5 seconds off where I really want to be to tackle the guys on the front row, but a little bit of experience from past racing here at Ningbo International Speed Park for the 2 drivers on the front row. Experience does play a part. Of course, this is a brand new circuit again that has only been open since late last season. Yang Ji is improving too with every outing. Of course, one of the drivers backed by Absolute Racing. We're talking about Absolute Racing. I'm going to have a very quick chat to Ingo Matter, who of course is the team boss of Absolute Racing, and you must be very proud to see the way this field is planned out, but a nice job too for Jingzhu after a number of years racing GT cars.
Yeah, I mean, Jingzhu improved so much over the last times, and being here before with GT Master helped him also a lot. So I think he's got a bit of an edge. Even in quali it was a bit tight. But I think in the race, he's one of the men to beat, especially with with Burit having the weight in the car.
Because he's got that great experience of Absolute Racing. Let you go. We've got 3 minutes to go. We're probably going to have to clear the grid a little bit further back some of the newer entries in, of course, the GT field. Jeffrey Lee has had to have a swap in cars today because of the fact they had a technical issue with his primary car, the J-Fly entry earlier during qualifying. He's behind the wheel of the car that Frankie Chung uses in the Blancpain series, so it'll be interesting to see him charge through from rear field because he wasn't able to qualify. We're about to get going. A number of fans in the grandstands, which is going to be great to see. But good luck to all the competitors as we take on the 5th round of 10 for the 2018 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. Back to you, Mark. I'll join you up there very shortly.
Great stuff, Sean. Thanks very much. Well, nice look at the front of the grid there, and Sean running off before they kick him out. He'll be making his way back upstairs to join me in just a moment. So let's run you through that field. Burhan Bakhti is the pole sitter today. That is the position number 3 car of Andrew Haryanti, but the Thai driver is pole position. However, he does have 50 kilos in the car, and that is 30 kilos more than any other driver. Sun Jingsu, alongside him on the front row of the grid, has 20 kgs, and it's a slightly different system this year in the Cup, where the weight is accrued. If you keep finishing in the top 3, you keep that weight, but 50 is the max. So Burhat hit the max, and fortunately for him, he won't get any more, even if he wins this race. Now on the second row of the grid, as Sean told us, Andrew Haryanti and Yang Shi. Then on the third row, Jeffrey Z alongside Li Shui Feng. Now Yasser Shahin starts in position number 7. He actually qualified much higher up the field, but he has a 5-place grid penalty, and that was the steward's decision after contact in an incident that he had last time out at the Nürburgring in Germany. Now Anderson Tenoto is the third other driver who has weight in his car, as the 1-minute board is just raised at the front of the track. He has just 10 kilos, and the number 89 driver, Anderson Tenoto, starts in position number 8. Then on the 5th and final row of the grid, Han Gang, very well-known actor and singer here in China, and a number of his fans are in the stands today. It's interesting to see a lot of activity around his car in the garage, with some of the VIP guests all trying to crowd in and get a shot with their idol. And he is alongside Jeffrey Lee on the 5th row of the grid. So Han Gang making his debut, which is great to see, bringing a lot more interest to the Cup. And these cars will be starting their formation lap in just a moment's time. Now it is a rolling start here in the Cup, so they will be going around, and then just before the final few corners of that formation 1-lap warm-up, they will be going in 2 by 2, and then they'll line up, and Burhan Bakhti will have control of the field. So this, just the formation lap. If you're just tuning in, you haven't missed any racing. And I'm pleased to say Sean made great time coming back up the stairs, racing off the track and back into commentary. Perfect timing there.
Felt like a qualifying lap, but I think I was probably a bit like Andrew Haryanto. I was about 1.5 seconds down on where I needed to be.
Well, let you get a sip of water and your breath back as they just begin this warm-up formation lap. So Burhan Bakhti, Sun Jingsu, Andrew Haryanto, Yang Ji, Jeffrey Z, Li Shui Feng, Yasser Shahin, as we said, dropped down from that 5-grid penalty. Anderson Tenoto, Han Gang and Jeffrey Lee. And just while we've got time, I know you're a massive fan of Han Gang there, Sean. Any of his numbers you want to...
Too many of them to mention. We do not have the time before the start of this race for me to be able to rattle off all those songs that he is so famous for.
Well, we'll come back to that after the race. I'm sure there'll be plenty of time then.
That's. I think I'll be busy. Certainly there's going to be an awful lot of action. There are going to be some very busy drivers in this field because there's a very busy circuit, 23 corners in just 4 kilometres. We're used to seeing big open international circuits for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. Of course, circuits like Korea International Circuit, Shanghai International Circuit, Sepang International Circuit, all designed around Formula One, big, wide, fast-flowing open circuits. This is different, but it's a great challenge too for the drivers.
And another thing is they don't get a breather, do they? Because there isn't that long straight where they can perhaps, just floor it and get a little bit of a rest from the rest of the body. It's just a physical lap for that. How much is that? How much is that going to impact the race?
It's already impacting me, I have to tell you. I'm glad I'm not behind the wheel. It is very warm, and there's a lot of people down there that had left pit lane, which is interesting, but they're going to have to work with that. That all plays part of the mind games. That's also part of the reason why they're shorter sprint races, because there's not so much
effect on what you need to do performance-wise. It can get up to 60 degrees behind the wheel of the car. Because you've got a closed cockpit, remember, you don't have a lot of airflow, and certainly a fairly tight circuit is going to make it a little taxing on the drivers. But well, we've seen some great performances. Ken Gakita from Pirelli, a great supporter of the Cup on screen. We've seen some great performances from these drivers this year. It'll be interesting to see how it goes this time around. The one unknown for me is just how easy this circuit is going to be for overtaking and what effect that will have on track position. Certainly for someone like Yasser Shahin, who, as you reported, has that 5-place grid penalty as a result of that incident at Nürburgring. But anyway, we're getting ready for a start.
Well, absolutely, as they come down, lining up into 2x2 formation, and as soon as those lights go out, we will be racing, and we'll see if Burrit Bharti can keep the lead into turn 1.
Well, it looks like they're underway. We haven't quite seen the lights in the house. Jingzhou around the outside. That's not going to roll off the inside for Andrew Haryanto. The championship points leader has taken out his rival. That is not good news. The two drivers that have been the most successful in the championship this year cleaned up in turn 1. That's not a great start for Jingzhou, though, and Yang Ji. That has been fantastic for Yasser Shahin, one of the drivers like Jingzhou in the box seat for that third drive in the Spa 24-hour race next year. He has taken up position number 3 and will be looking to move through.
Well, if you were looking at the grid beforehand, you would not have picked Yang Ji and Sun Jingzhou necessarily to be 1 and 2 coming into the leading stages of this race here. But what an absolutely monster start for Sun Jingzhou. It's just incredible to see the performance that he had, the improvements that he's made.
He's gone wide as Yang Ji. Let's take a look at the start once more and see what happened on the run down to turn 1. 2x2, side by side. You can see them start to fan out. Right of screen, that was Yasser Shahin further back. Watch the gold and black car. The third car in this line. He's gone up the inside and just tried to avoid Burrit by the look of it. Burrit didn't know he was there, turned across the apex of the corner. Let's take a look at this angle. It's already happened. Yang Ji went around the outside. Yasser 2. Jeffrey Lee, starting from rear of field, has worked his way through. That's 2 of the title contenders. They are separated by 8 points in this championship. That's not the way they wanted to start this race. Now, dramas for Yasser Shahin, or has he gone through to... No, he's come off somewhere. There's no cars around him. So Yasser Shahin, whilst we've been watching all that, something has gone on. So that puts Jingzhou back to the lead of this race. He now has Jeffrey Lee right behind him. We saw in the AM Cup in the last couple of seasons in the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup, these two drivers were right in the thick of things further back, well, certainly midfield in the championship. They are the front runners too this year, and Jeffrey didn't qualify. He had that drama swapped to the car used by Martin Rump, a multiple winner of the Cup, and Frankie Chung for this race. Started rear of field, now he's storming up through to position number 2.
Well, Sun Jingzhou, as you said, a very impressive start, but Jeffrey Lee from 10th up to 2nd in just the first lap. Incredible, and he is poised very, very well to take the lead, perhaps, which would be a stunning performance because he is a very quick driver when he's on it. Sun Jingzhou for the moment holding him off, but here comes Jeffrey Lee, and tucked right behind him, Yang Ji still in the thick of things with Andrew Haryanto in 4th position. But as he said, these two have been fighting for many, many years, but not always at the front of the field, Sean.
No, it certainly made things very, very interesting. Yang Ji's making it interesting too. He's under fire now from Andrew Haryanto, who's recovered to be in position number 4. Yang Ji's really pushing. Now, this is what we call the red mist. You forget about your theory, you forget about your line and length, you're under pressure from another driver. If you don't have the experience of some of the pros, you may be prone to push in a little bit too hard. You're watching the mirrors a little bit too much, and that's probably contributed a little bit due to inexperience for Yang Ji. That's dropped him back a little bit. Andrew Haryanto's taken advantage of that, and that is interesting to see how that plays out. Now, shown on the board as position 13, Sun Jingzhou leading this field. It says that car number 5 is in position 2. That is, that's been a glitch somewhere along the line. There has been a change of numbers with one of the cars in this field. That was the 95. It's a little bit further back in this field. Li Shufeng, who is in position number 5 currently. Second, of course, is Jeffrey Lee. We're used to seeing the silver Audi Taiwan J-Fly entry in those colours, but of course today he has taken over the wheel of the car that Martin Rump and Frankie Chung use in the Blancpain Series. The FAW car has been subbed in by virtue of a technical fault with Jeffrey's car before qualifying. Weren't able to repair it in time. The spare car that was here for hot laps for customers was put into service for Jeffrey Lee, currently in position 2, but he has Andrew Haryanto storming all over his tail. Fastest man in the field, though, as Haryanto's at a big dive up the inside. He's not afraid. We saw that in Australia. Very difficult starting season. Adelaide's Clipsal circuit, that was formerly known as the Clipsal circuit, the Parkland circuit, saw Andrew Haryanto come from 4th position in
qualifying. He's probably getting a bit too racy. Jingzu's trying to protect, and that's opening the door for Jeffrey Lee. Well, we're talking about the red mist. He just needs to relax, take a breath, and he can work his way back through to the front of this field if he can manage to get past Jingzu, but he's proven to be a very capable driver so far this season.
Well, if Yang Ji can stay out of trouble in 4th position, perhaps something will happen. He can nip into the lead as well, but these two battling through. Sun Jingzu taking the lead back here, and Haryanto swinging around all over the back. Here comes Jeffrey. Well, amazing scenes here in the opening laps at Ningbo International Speed Park, Sean.
Well, we talk about this all the time. If you run a protective line, as Jingzu is doing to try and keep Jeffrey out, you're not going at the performance you need to. They're turning laps in the 152s. Behind them, you see he's just caught up. Burrit Birambakti, fastest on circuit with a 148.8. He's got clean air in front of him after recovering from that spin at the start and the contact with Andrew Haryanto. The other one is Yasser Shahin, a 148.8. They have clear air in front of them. They're storming through. Unfortunately for Yasser, that whatever drama he had on the circuit, he's now 27 seconds down on the race leader. But whilst they're battling like this is allowing him to be able to move forward.
Absolutely, and just to give you some context, the top qualification was a 1:45.7, and of course they do quicker in qualifying, but Sun Jingzu again under pressure from Haryanto. Can he go around through the outside? Oh, neck and neck here, and he does go through. Here comes Jeffrey Lee as well, but Sun Jingzu will hold on to position number 2 for the moment, but Jeffrey right behind, and it's just incredible how many position changes we had with Yang Ji in position number 4, and he's got Burrit right behind him in the battle for 4th position.
Well, 5 minutes into the race, you don't need to be doing this. That was a risky move. That could have ended badly too for Andrew Haryanto. No need for it. Wait your moment. Wait your time. This is where the professional drivers are able to take that past experience, store it away. Okay, we talk about red mist. A lot of the theory goes out the window as Yang Ji's having a drama in the background there, crawling around the circuit very, very slowly from position 5. He will drop back. He was in position 4. Jeffrey had moved past. And interestingly, he is having dramas there. So that's a frustration for him. Such a great start. The 95 entry has just gone through. Li Shufeng, one of the new drivers in the field this weekend, driving the car that, well, Anthony Liu and Josh Burden were driving in the Blancpain Series, just watching him pull over in the grass. Hopefully there's no other drama there, and hopefully we will see him back for race 2, round 6 of the championship tomorrow afternoon. As the front of the field, Andrew Haryanto leads the field now from the all-blue entry of Sun Jingzu, and Jeffrey Lee in the blue and grey entry for J-Fly and Audi Taiwan.
Now, just to keep your eye on position number 8 is Yasser Shahin, who set another fastest lap. He's still about 2.5 seconds back on Jeffrey Z in position number 7, but he is moving up the field, and he is lapping much, much quicker again than Li Shuifeng in 6th as well. So expect to see him make some progress in the next few laps, and we'll keep you up to date with that. But Haryanto leads from Sun Jingzu, and then Jeffrey Lee is managing to hold off Burrit Birambakti at the moment, but these two neck and neck as well.
Well, further back, as you say, Yasser Shahin position 8. Position 7, Jeffrey Z. He is driving the Generation 1 Audi, for which the first 5 seasons of the Cup, around which the first 4 seasons, rather, of the Cup were built around. And it's nice to see him in the field, a driver with some experience on some of the local circuits here in China. Not well experienced in the field, but interesting to see him work his way into contention. He's in position 7, but only a couple of seconds behind him was Yasser Shahin, who's managed to pull in 5 seconds on this pack that's on screen. That's 2nd, 3rd and 4th now. Sun Jing in the number 13 Absolute Racing all-blue entry in position number 2. 2.6 seconds now down from Andrew Haryanto, who's just hit the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 1:48 dead. So he really is pushing on quite hard.
Now that's pretty ominous for the rest of the field, because he has, as you can see, after the drama of the opening 3 laps in lap number 4 here, has really opened up a bit of a gap, and you know, his race at the moment.
But he's doing a good job. And we saw this in Australia. It was interesting. We went to Australia to a circuit which is notorious for some fairly big incidents. You've seen probably in some of the highlight videos for the Cup during this year, Yasser Shahin had a 720 spin at the notorious turn 8 in Adelaide. Now, rarely do you get through there unscathed. He managed to spin not once but twice, come out the right way forward, go on to set a front row start for that qualifying session in which he had the spin. And it was a very demanding circuit. We were a bit uncertain about how the amateur drivers, it's an all-amateur championship in season 2018, how they would go on a testing street circuit like that. Not only did the Asian drivers compete against the experienced Australian drivers, one of which in the field had like 32 prior starts in Adelaide,
they managed to beat them. And Andrew Harrianto qualified in his debut of the Cup on the second row, was first in the first chicane in Adelaide, which is a meteoric start. It's incredible just to point out how good that was. And he's carried that pace through. He probably would have been further ahead in this championship, except for that contact he had with Yasser Shahin last time out the Nürburgring, but adapted to that circuit too very well. So these drivers are becoming very, very capable.
Now, you mentioned Yasser Shahin there, and he has already jumped up to 6th position, overtaking both Anderson Tanoto and Jeffrey Z. Make that 5th as he goes past Li Shuifeng, and Yang Ji had also dropped it down. There's still a pretty sizable gap for him to make up behind the top 4, and ahead of him is Burrit Birenbakhti. But any chance you think Yasser can make up the gap? It's currently about 17 seconds in the car ahead, but he does have open track and he's lapping pretty fast.
Well, interesting, the last time round, Burrit Birenbakhti, who's the one immediately ahead of him, 49.9, 49.7 for Yasser. Yasser was held up that lap. He got to within 21 seconds of the leader, which of course is Andrew Harrianto. He's now 24 seconds down. So it's going to be interesting to see. It could be a safety car intervention at some point, which may bunch up the field. Good to see Burrit Birenbakhti's recovered. He's now up to position number 4, closing in on the tail of the number 7 entry. There is the 13 of Jingzhou, who was competing as part of a big field of Audis in the Japanese Suzuka 10-hour last weekend. And team boss Ingo Maeda was saying to me earlier in the weekend, he was very, very impressive. Not only did he hold his ground during his stints, but he was super consistent, and he's shown that from the opening session. Practice yesterday, both sessions were dominated by Jingzhou, and that was an impressive run, and that really laid the foundations for this race here today.
Now, Sean, one of the things we haven't spoken about too much so far is this big prize that they have. The winner of each race weekend gets a fully paid entry into the 24-hour race at Spa next year. Now, Andrew Harrianto and Burrit Birenbakhti have already wrapped up their entries from the first 2 race weekends. So at the moment, Sun Jingzhou is leading the way, but it's an average, isn't it, of this race and tomorrow's race.
Damn, I was just going to say, you're such a great student of the Cup after all your years involved. You made one slip-up saying the winner of every weekend. You're exactly right. The winner of each of the regions. So the winner of the 2 rounds in Australia is the man on screen, the 28 car that is leading this field, Andrew Harrianto. He is in one of 4 seats for a free entry in the 2019 Spa 24-hour race. We'll talk about the man on screen, Anderson Tanoto, in the GT4 car very, very soon. He's circulating. Great support there from Honor, the new sponsor, who's across the windscreen banner of all the Cup cars for this round of the championship. The second round, of course, at the Nürburgring, back-to-back wins for Burrit Birenbakhti. He won the second entry in that Audi Sport R8 LMS entry that will be in the 2019 Spa 24-hour race. The combined overall points winner that isn't Birenbakhti or Andrew Harrianto that takes the top points for the 2 races in China. This is another bit of contact. That's a round again for Burrit Birenbakhti. He's not his day. Great pace. He's right on the pace of the leader. Needs to be careful he doesn't get bogged off the end of the circuit. He doesn't do any damage. Trying to find a gear, start the car. But for the young Thai driver, he's been doing brilliantly this season in just about everything he's been competing in. This is disaster for him. He is in the Spa seat, but he started this race just 8 points behind Andrew Harrianto in the championship. This is not the way he wanted to end this race. So both he and Harrianto are in that seat. So the winner of the 2 races, this one and the next one on 5th and 6th of October at Shanghai, the combined 2 winners in China will take that 3rd seat.
Now, interestingly, the man behind him who has benefited from that spin from Burrit, Yasser Shahin, now up to 4th position. That means he's going to get more points as he looks to try and get that 3rd seat for Spa next year. On paper, he would have been the favourite heading into Ningbo, Sean. But of course, with the performances so far of Sun Jingzhou and Jeffrey Lee, plus Yasser's grid penalty starting him further down the grid, it wasn't looking out that way. But now with Yasser in 4th position.
There he is on screen.
And he's just 10 seconds back of Jeffrey Lee, so that is something to watch. And he's lapping about 2 seconds a lap quicker, so plenty of time for him to get into those podium positions.
Now, just gone past Hungang. Again, we're talking about him. He is he's a rock star in China. He's a movie star, small screen, big screen. The hard memory program, if it's not on air in China at the moment, will be a revolutionary new program for his supporters and his fans. There's a lot of them here in the grandstand with Hungang banners. They've been lining up since early this morning. And he's making his debut appearance in GT4. He is currently a little bit further back in the field in the number 9 Audi R8 LMS GT4. Of course, we've seen him do some GT racing, but he isn't a professional racer. He's taken a number of cues from professional racers like Adley Fong, who was here with him on the grid at the start of this race when he could get close to him. The depth of fans was quite impressive. But Han Geng is learning his craft. Of course, you talk about professional sports people who are used to listening to a coach. Of course, actors and musicians, they do have to have some sort of coaching. So he has been a great student of the sport so far. We expect to see a lot more of him over the course of the remainder of this season. But for Andrew Haryanto, what a great addition he has been to the Cup this year. Very happy, smiling Indonesian driver, because a lot of questions asked whether he's related to Rio Haryanto, and he said, well, you know that not all the Smiths are related, and the Joneses aren't all necessarily. Why would the Haryantos be related? I'm not related, but thank you very much for putting me into the same particular boat as Rio Haryanto. But he loves his motorsport and really has taken to the Cup, and is very keen to go after that all-gold entry, which is the other prize for the outright winner, the outright points winner of the Cup, who's an all-gold two-wheel drive Audi R8 LMS GT3 unveiled at the Nürburgring in front of the full Audi campus. That was a big night.
Well, Haryanto is currently the standings leader, and he is 11 points ahead at the front of this field. But Yasser Shahin, we keep talking about his progress through the field, a 1:47.5, and he is now just 8 seconds behind Jeffrey Lee and closing hard. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But it's Haryanto at the moment, looks like his race to lose, with Sun Jingzhou still in second, Jeffrey Lee in third, and they will be fighting hard to stay in those podium positions.
Well, when you talk about the Spa 24-hour race, the race is on between Jingzhou, Jeffrey Lee and Yasser Shahin. They are 1, 2, 3 effectively. Andrew Haryanto has his place in that field. Now there is the 98 entry, talking about Jeffrey Z, a local driver who has some good experience around this part of the world. He's making his debut in the Generation 1 car, and he is back in position number 6. Now that was the 37 entry, certainly in the Blancpain GT series of Anthony Wu and Josh Burden, but that is further back. That is the 95 entry. In fact, that was further forward. It looks like, in fact, that Jeffrey Z may have taken a position change and moved forward. No, it's not. There's the 95, there is the 98. And behind them again, his poor old Biran Bhakti can do nothing right today after a great job in qualifying. He's been quick since opening practice. In fact, what was interesting for me to see was he's been here before, but the first practice session, 3 laps out, he set the pace that took most of the rest of that 60-minute session for the other drivers to hunt him down and go a little bit quicker. He's been right in the mix, so that has been very, very impressive. There is Anderson Tanoto. He is further back and leading on screen, leading the GT4 field. Of course, made his way onto the podium. Fairly dramatic podium in the second race at Nürburgring, round 4, finished on 3 wheels. We'll be hoping not to do that again. It was quite spectacular. It's not the way you want to finish your race.
Absolutely not. Well, Haryanto is 9 laps in the books now, 16 laps in total we are looking at here, with now a 12.5-second gap over Sun Jingzhou. Jeffrey Lee, another 4 seconds behind, and Yasser Shahin down to within 5 seconds. There's more action on screen here with the 89 car of Anderson Tanoto, and Yasser Shahin just going past him to lap.
Well, what's interesting is that Yasser is stalling 1:47.7 last time round, 1:47.5 prior to that. In fact, I think he now has the fastest lap consecutively, 2 fastest laps of this race. Let me just check that, saying the best time 1:47.9 for Andrew Haryanto. No, it's a 1:47.5 for Yasser Shahin. He's still 22.2 seconds behind Andrew Haryanto, so not much chance that he is going to pull those drivers in. He's now less than 5 seconds behind Jeffrey Lee. Caught up a little bit there, just on the wrong part of the circuit, coming past Anderson Tanoto. As we look at Humgang, there is the number 9 hard memory entry, and he is continuing to circulate. His lap times are improving over his qualifying position, and he will continue to improve over the course of this race. That is the charging Biran Bhakti. He is now back up to position 5, but he is a long way back down now on Yasser Shahin, who is the next car immediately ahead of him. So the young Thai driver is continuing to improve, and he'll be frustrated with himself that he's managed to have a couple of spins in this race. And, well, that just goes to show. Experience will tell him that next time, maybe you'd leave it until the next corner. There is still a ways to go in this race. 6 laps, in fact, of the 16-lap race journey. And, well, you can charge that one away. and he will be back tomorrow, no doubt, to try and work his way back towards the front of this field. Of course, another 15-minute qualifying session prior to tomorrow's race.
Well, coming into the Ningbo race weekend, Sean, Andrew Harriento just 8 points clear at the top of the standings, but he is going to widen that by a significant margin. We'll give you a confirmation of that should he go on to get the victory here. But still plenty of points to be won. Next up, we're going to Shanghai, where there's not just 2 races, but also an extra 10 points if cars enter into the SIC 888 race, which is the long-distance race the following day. So that's another challenge for the drivers, but also has some championship implications, both in the GT3 and the GT4.
Looks like going to be on screen. He's got himself back to pit lane. Unfortunately for him, that is game over. So with the team there, Fabian Fior and Igor Mailer left off screen. The 2 bosses of the absolute racing operation. Has been such a big part of the success of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup over recent seasons, of course. There are drivers, people like Renaud Koneberg, who of course was involved at the very beginning of this, and a shout out to Bern Gers, who was formerly in the hot seat at Audi Sport in Asia, and now of course the boss, the man who's probably seen more of these races than anybody else in the organisation, and that of course is our big boss, Martin Kuhl, new director of Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia for season 2018.
Well, new best lap time for the race, Andrew Harriento, so certainly not taking his foot off the pedal at the front of this field, nailing a 1:46.9 in lap number 11. And that was a significant improvement on his previous best.
Here it is, there's the passing move. That's Yasser Shahin all over the tail of Jeffrey Lee. Now, again, he needs to make sure you don't make a risky move. We've seen how that's played out already today, and he needs to make sure he gets good championship points. This will have a big impact on his position, because if he can get up to perhaps second in this race, okay, Andrew Harriento has built on his lead as Jeffrey's gone wide. Of course, very experienced campaigner, something like 72 starts so far in the Cup. He's just tagged the rear of Yasser Shahin. As Yasser's gone through, you'd be keen to get away. You see a little bit of telltale smoke on the right front of the car. Jeffrey wants to take that position back, looking for an inside run. That's not going to happen down at the hairpin. It's down at turn 10, the long straight down to turn 11, the left-hander. And Yasser Shahin moves forward now into position number 4 in this position number 3 rather. He's back on the podium. Next one in front of him is Jingzhou, who's about 6 seconds up the road as Jeffrey's run off the circuit, trying to make up the position. He needs to be careful of his Control Pirelli DH tyre. You don't want to be creating any kind of puncture. And when these cars hit, of course, the modern GT cars, dive planes on the corners, the front splitters, etc., it's not just a matter of banging doors. It can often have implications on tyre pressure.
And Sean, just talk about the psychology there. Frustration, of course, losing that podium position, then just making a mistake moments later. Is he still dwelling on the previous move?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, we talk about muscle memory with professional athletes. It's the same with racing drivers. You store away those things. You know that we talk again about the red mist, which effectively is, well, all logic goes out the window. You're fired up, you get aggressive, there's emotions involved in this. You wouldn't do it if there wasn't. And that can cloud your judgment. Red mist is really just about clouding your judgment. You don't want to do that. Professional drivers will understand that, yes, that happens on occasion, but take a deep breath, the move's done, just press on, because the other driver might make an error in front of you a little bit further on. You've got to stick with it. Once you start losing ground, then it is a drama. Front of this field now, 19-second lead to Andrew Harriento, who's just punching out one quick lap after another. Now
right behind them, Sun Jingzhou, I would say right behind, he's about 20 seconds down on Harriento, but closing hard on him is Yasser Shahin, just under 6 seconds, but he's lapping about 2 seconds a lap quicker, and with 3.5 laps left, it's going to be touch and go whether Yasser can catch Sun Jingzhou, and if he does, whether he's going to have a chance to pass him.
It was great talking to Frankie Chung, of course, one of the pioneers of motorsport in China over many years. Very, very experienced. DTM experience, Le Mans experience, of course, a multiple winner of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup over recent years. He's one of the mentors this weekend alongside Adley Fong, who, of course, is the 2000 and... what champion?
Through TF13.
Oh, nice. You've won that one. That was good. Your first season in the Cup. Good job.
Thank you.
They are here to mentor the drivers, but he did some laps beforehand. He went out in one of the cars. In fact, he went out of the car that Jeffrey Lee is using in this race, put the teeth back in. And he set a benchmark time around which the other drivers are able to use the data. There's a lot of data sharing to compare where they can improve their times. So he went out and ran around the circuit. He said it's a little bumpy in places. There's one area around at turn 19 we get a little bit airborne. It's about turn 18 actually. He might have got his numbers wrong. There's a lot of corners on this circuit. There's some question about whether it's 22 or 23 depending on which website you check. But he said it's a very busy lap. There, as you said earlier in the race, it's not an opportunity, not a great opportunity for them to take a breath and just recover. That's going to really play on the drivers' minds. But the more laps they have here, the more experience they have here, the better it will be. As Jingzhou continues to circulate in position number 2, looks pretty comfortable. His last couple of laps have only been a couple of tenths different. No, I'm saying that. There is Yasser Shahin. He's absolutely storming through this race. Now, how much longer have we got to? We're on the third last lap.
2.5 laps to go.
So he could, in fact, breach that gap, which must be down to, well, about 3 seconds, 3.235 seconds, in fact. And this could be just what the Australian driver needs.
Now, one other slight thing to mention here, 20 kgs additional, you can see on the windscreen, the side screen of Sun Jingzhou. It's not a lot, but every little counts in these closing laps from Yasser Shahin. Well, he's right on the tail now, and definitely he's going to have an opportunity. It's just, can Sun Jingzhou close the door? It'd be great to see him finish on the podium. And what a transformation we've seen over the years from Sun Jingzhou.
Absolutely, and that's been one of the great things as we're talking on the grid to Ingo Mader, the team boss of Absolute Racing, the development that he has had certainly just recently. And it's about clicking. You do enough of this, eventually it clicks. You get it into your brain to how to make these cars perform well. Seems that Andrew Harrianto has been able to pick that up very, very quickly. 22 seconds up on the field now as he begins what will be his second last lap. It's got to be very close to being the end of this race, the very first race of the Cup in 7 seasons at Ningbo. Of course, the previous 6 seasons, there wasn't a Ningbo International Speed Park to compete on, but it really has been a great addition. Now, it's one thing to catch the driver in front. The next thing is to make your way past. The one thing I've found today that's been particularly pleasing is overtaking happens. Okay, it's been a little bit sketchy on a couple of occasions, but you are able to make an overtaking move at this Ningbo Speed Park circuit, and that's a great addition to the field.
Now 2 laps to go, Sean, and Yasser Shahin just 1.3 seconds down on Sun Jingzhou, and you can see them on screen quite just how close they are. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's going to finish second?
I think Yasser will probably have the pace to just get through towards the end, but he has to get past. And he knows, he's had contact already in this race, that it has to be a clean move. Otherwise, he's not going to have that opportunity. Clean move eventually. I mean, he had a couple of sketchy overtaking moves on the field, certainly getting past Jingzhou and with Jeffrey involved, as he looks like he's just caught up to the tail there of Jeffrey G. We saw him further back in the field, back to position number 7 now. Of course, Spirit Bhakti has moved forward. He is still charging further up the field. He'll be a bit frustrated with his run through this race. We'll see how it goes out, because this result will be provisional until stewards have been right through everything, checked the onboard cameras and certainly the circuit cameras to see how some of those passing moves went. But at this stage, Andrew Harrianto will see what happens as a result of that first turn incident, but he will cross the line comfortably clear in this field. He has to get there yet. We don't want to give the commentators curse, but Jingzhou is just, well, tenths now ahead of Yasser Shahin in this battle for second. That's what we want to see. What is going on for the battle for position number 2 in this race? It's further back in the field, onto the final lap now for the man in front, Andrew Harrianto, the championship points leader of the 2018 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup.
Well, just a mention of Han Gang, who is running in position number 9. He's been putting in some pretty consistent lap times, doing his best just a moment ago, and he is currently second in the GT4 category, so his fans will be pretty happy about that.
Well, just 6 seconds now off the tail of Anderson Tenodo, who's had good experience in this. This is the first run for Han Gang in this car. He's a movie star, he's a rock star. This is not what he spends most of his time doing. Anderson's done some good miles here. He spent a couple of days testing here at Ningbo circuit prior to this event, and he had the advantage to start with. It was up by something like 14 seconds early in the piece, but Hungang's got that down to 6 during this race, so he is continuing his improvement as Andrew Harrianto heads for what would be his second win of the season, getting very close to the checkered flag. What has happened in that battle for second? It can't be much in it. Here it is. Yasser is on Jingzhou's tail. Half a lap for them to go. He hasn't got long.
Well, this would be huge if Sun Jingzhou is able to hold on to position number 2 here. Yasser Shahin has made up acres of ground in the quest behind him as he's been charging from the back of the field. But Sun Jingzhou driving very, very well. Just got a few more turns to hold on. And I think he might just do it here, but that would be an incredible result for the Chinese driver.
That is a great result at home. Of course, he's done some miles around this circuit. Here comes Yasser Shahin. Jingzhou doesn't want to be protecting too much. He wants to have his run through. He's down at turn 16. There's not too much time left in this race as the leader crosses the line. Andrew Haryanto provisionally takes the checkered flag and his second win of the 2018 season. All we have to do now is wait to see what's going on in this battle for second. Can Jingzhou hold out Yasser Shahin? Will he manage to weather the storm? The last corner, he's coming to the line, and brilliant drive for Sun Jingzhou off the front row of this round and crosses the line in position 2. Position 3 to the Australian Yasser Shahin, and that's a good battle in this run for the third seat for the Spa 24-hour race. Next across the line, we expect it to be Jeffrey Lee, who's dropped a little bit back from that battle. Hasn't crossed the line just yet. Group Birambaki was closing in, but he was a good 30-odd seconds down by virtue of that off, getting caught in the gravel. Had to refire the car. There's no denying the winner of this race. Again, provisionally, there will be stewards' hearings for the various incidents during the course of this race, no doubt. And once that official result has been finalised, keep an eye on the website and the various social media platforms as the news is updated as we go through this race weekend, the third race weekend of the 2018 season.
Well, Sean, you have to say all the top 3 drivers had great races. Andrew Haryanto started from third and took the checkered flag. Sun Jingzhou managed to hold on from the front row of the grid, but perhaps unexpected coming into this weekend. For him to finish second is a fantastic performance. And then Yasser Shahin started down the grid, came right up the field, dropped all the way back down again, and then came back through the field again to finish on the podium. So very eventful race for him.
Well, that was very much the feature of this race, wasn't it? Birambaki, another one. He started at the front. Before too long, he was towards the back, worked his way towards the front again. Then he had a drama, he had an off. So it'll be interesting to see what played out with Yasser Shahin during the race, because he was away towards the front of the field, and then we saw him having dramas and rejoining well back down the order. Good job for the all-blue entry. We can't highlight enough just how good a result this has been for Jingzhou this weekend. But again, we go back to the start of the season. We started in Australia on a circuit where the Asian drivers had not been before, against experienced Australian drivers who had done many, many miles around the Adelaide Parkland circuit. The Asian drivers left that weekend as the race winners and the leaders in the championship. Okay, Tony Bates won the second round of the championship, the Australian driver. He is right at the front of the Australian GT field, so that's the level of experience that he has. Then we went to Germany on the famed Nürburgring, same sort of thing. And that was interesting to see. Again, Birambaki emerged as the race winner, 2-time race winner. So the Asian drivers are competing at this top level of GT competition. And as the GT market, of course, improves within the Asian region, there's a lot of GT racing now. Certainly Audi is at the forefront of a lot of that. The drivers are getting more and more experience. So a good result to see Jingzhou continuing to improve. And now, on his own, is able to run right at the front of the Cup field. So be very happy with that.
Well, Sophie is down there and she will be grabbing a word, we hope, with Andrew Haryanto in just a moment. Time. He looks very, very happy as he celebrates with his team. And he'll just take a few moments to cool down. We'll give him let him have a drink of water before Sophie steps in.
You could see that smile with your X-ray vision through the helmet, could you? He looked very, very happy. Well, of course, he has crossed the line as the race leader the second time this year.
It's all about the body language, Sean.
Okay, sorry, I've never been good on that front, but that's okay. We move along as, Aaron Chen just congratulates the drivers. Jingzhou, a good job by him, of course. Jeffrey's wandering off to try and cool down. It was very hot down there on the grid. Of course, these are the conditions we're used to in this part of the world. So it's interesting, you see drivers come out from Europe or up from Australia and they go, whoa, how hot is it behind the wheel of these cars? But our drivers, well averse to the conditions here, and they have carried on the performance that we've seen so well this weekend. A little bit further back, the middle of that second row on screen is Anderson Tanoto, who took the victory in GT4 and on his debut, second for Hangeng in the hard memory Audi R8 LMS GT4. Looks like we will be down on the grid with Sophie Lee. She's just trying to get organised. So she will no doubt speak to the winner of this race. And Andrew Harrianto, always entertaining to talk to.
Well, let's go down to the grid and speak to Sophie. She is standing with Andrew Harrianto, and we can join them in just a moment's time as we let Andrew get his breath back. I think he's ready. Let's go hear what he has to say.
Andrew, congratulations for taking the win for GT3 category, but at the same time, so you shake hands with Berit. What happened on the track, especially at the very beginning? It's a little bit chaos, but you make it, especially at the last half of the race.
It's first of all, I'm very sorry to Berit. I took the inside line. I slowed the car slow enough so I could turn whatever I want, but when he closed the door, I turned into the curve, which was pretty high. Then my car jumped and I had no control afterwards. If I could have stayed it inside, I could have left it there, but unfortunately the car jumped, so yeah, it was a pretty high curb. So sorry.
But you still can enjoy your victory today, especially starting from 4th place, right?
If I could amend what I did to Berit, it would be better.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And now back to your guys upstairs.
We call them gentlemen drivers, and that's part of the reason why.
Seemed pretty emotional there, didn't he, Sean?
He did. I mean, he is a real character of the sport. We love having a conversation with him. He's always having a laugh, having a great time, but serious about his motorsport, and he's taken ownership of what happened. You can see he looks very down. He's got Martin Kuhl escorting him back up, and yeah, frustrating. He doesn't want to win a race. You don't want to win a race by getting involved in contact. Now, it may be there's a penalty to him. We don't know that, but he didn't want to be taking out Berit Birenbakti or impacting his championship.
And it's so interesting to see because when, well, 9 times out of 10 when two pro drivers have contact on the track, it's never either of them's fault.
No, it's the others. It's the others' fault. It was his fault.
Always someone else's fault.
Or her fault, conversely.
But good to see the spirits that these drivers have on the track.
That's been one of the great developments of the Cup season this year, in the fact that it is about the amateurs and the gentlemen drivers. So very, very good. So you can see the drivers getting ready for the podium presentation. So it'll be good to see that. It looks like Anderson Tanoto might, in fact, be down there. So that's 2 Indonesian drivers that we will be talking to, because runs with the Hong Kong flag on the top of his car because of the fact that he is licensed through Hong Kong, but very much a proud Indonesian driver. So Sophie is down there on the grid.
Anderson taking the winner for the GT4 category. Before that, you say you are getting quite familiar with this car, and how do you feel about this circuit, especially racing here with so many other drivers?
It's wonderful. I think it's an incredible experience. Ningpo as a track, it's beautiful. We're behind a mountain here, and the weather is ever changing. Every second is changing, and the grip levels and the track is also changing. So it's a privilege to race at GT4 here, and I'm very happy to win this race, actually. So.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. It's also a very attractive place to race here, right? And good luck for tomorrow. Back to your guys upstairs.
Thank you, Sophie. Goodbye to Mark Dreyer, who has other commitments. He will be back with us tomorrow, of course, for the second race here at Ningbo, and that, of course, is round 6 of the 2018 Championship. 10:50 a.m. qualifying, the second 15-minute session to set the grid for round 6, and 2:35 p.m. 16-lap journey number 2. Interesting listening to Anderson Tanoto making a point, which was very valid, of course. That was about grip levels of the circuit. It had rained about an hour prior to the race. Very dark clouds came across. We've been very lucky. It's bright sunshine now. It had threatened rain across the course of the weekend, and it didn't come. So we're looking at the highlights now of the race. Round 5 of the championship. Great start, but it all came unstuck down at turn 1. Keep a close eye on that move down the inside, and you could see that Andrew Harrianto admitted at the end of this race, he got onto the high curb, lost grip, couldn't stop the car, and went into the side of Berit Birenbakti. And Yang Ji started very, very strongly. He was right in the mix, but got a little bit ratty on the mid part of the opening race, or the opening lap rather. That allowed the other drivers through. And then he had a technical drama as he came through for what would have been his best run of the year. Good battle at the front as Berit Birenbakti got right into the mix. So too did the man who won the race outright in the end, Andrew Harrianto. We'll see what happens as a result of this afterwards. And he was right in the mix too there, battling with Jingzhou in the all-blue entry. There is Yang Ji coming off the circuit. He had a drama. Yasser Shahin working his way forward. Dramas too for Burit Bhirombhakdi as he was battling in the mix. Jeffrey Lee did start this rear field. A little bit of contact between the 74 and the 7. Ultimately, that didn't affect Jeffrey, except for the fact he was off here. But he got through to the finish in position 4 provisionally. And at the front of the field, the number 28 entry of Andrew Harrianto, who won the opening round of the 2018 season back in March in Adelaide. The Pro Max entry would take the win, but admitted post-race that he had made contact with Burit Bhirombhakdi into turn 2. And that did have an effect on the way this race did play out. Unfortunately for Burit Bhirombhakdi, he did have a drama again during the race, and that will impact his championship. But ultimately, he worked his way forward for the second time up to position number 5 to cross the line behind Jeffrey Lee. He was a little bit further back, about 30 seconds down on Jeffrey. 1 minute 17 behind the race leader. So that's an indication of just how much time he had lost to Andrew Harrianto. You look at their best times, a 46.93, fastest lap of the race to Andrew Harrianto, the race winner. But ultimately, Burit Bhirombhakdi at 48.612. So he's 1.7 seconds slower. But of course, he had to work his way through the field. He had to work his way through traffic as we get ready for the podium for this round. And this is round 5 of the championship. Round 6 tomorrow afternoon. And then we are off to Shanghai International Circuit, the emotional home of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. That's where it started back in season 2012, the season that Marchie Lee from Hong Kong went on to become the inaugural champion for the series. Following year, of course, Adley Fong, then 3 wins to Alex Young, of course, Malaysia's former Formula 1 star. And then we went to Alessio Picariello, who is the reigning champion. We've seen a little bit of him back in Asia this year. It's nice to see the young Belgian driver involved. Martin Rump, another one who had made a strong name in the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup in recent seasons. He is still in the thick of the action around Asia in a GT Audi. And then the final round of the championship, 9 and 10 of the season. And that will compete 80 races in 7 seasons for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. And that is at Sepang in Malaysia on the 24th and 25th of November. So it has been great having you join us. Make sure you stay with us. Keep up to date with the Audi R8 LMS Cup.com website. The various platforms for social media in both Chinese and English. There's a lot of news going on around the place. It is constantly updated. Some of the best videographers and photographers in the world are here putting work together, and they will be able to keep you abreast of exactly what is going on in the championship this year. We are now at the midpoint of the 2018 season, again the 7th season of the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's awarding ceremony for Round 5 2018 Audi Sport R8 MS Cup。尊敬的各位来宾，欢迎大家来到2018奥迪运动200 MS 杯第5回合比赛的颁奖典礼。接下来我们将会为您揭晓本次比赛的成绩。I'm very honored to announce that third place in the GT3 category goes to Yasser Shahin. Congratulations to Yasser Shahin from Team Absolute Racing. Please 有请获得 GT3 组第3名的车手，来自 Absolute Racing 车队的 Yasser Shahin， 恭喜。Now the second place in GT3 category is Mr. Sun Jingzhu from Absolute Racing， 恭喜获得第2名的车手是 Wow Absolute Racing 车队的孙敬祖。Now the winner in the GT3 category is Andrew Harrianto from Pro Max Team. Congratulations！ 恭喜获得 GT3 组别第1名的车手，来自 Pro Max Team Andrew Harrianto， 恭喜！好，那接下来我们将邀请各位颁奖嘉宾为他们颁奖。First, may I invite Mr. Zhang Heng, Director of Huawei Consumer Business Group Online Procurement, please. 有请华为消费者 BG 线上采购认证部部长张恒先生为冠军颁奖。Please present the prize winner in GT3 category. And as an added bonus, we have an honor cell phone as a prize for the winner of GT3 Cup. 我们作为奖励 GT3 的冠军车手，还送给他荣耀手机一部，恭喜！谢谢张恒先生。
Good result for Andrew Harrianto. Provisionally, again, as a result of that incident in the opening lap.
May I invite Mr. David Gobi, General Manager of Top Speed Shanghai Limited, to present the prize to the second place in GT3 category.
who I think was on the podium really for the champagne celebration. Popped the cork out long before the trophies even been presented. Now, an interesting fact about Yasser Shahin that I ran past Andrew Harrianto before this race. He is the co-owner of the second longest permanent racing facility,
Now let's invite Mr. Jeff Mattner, Motorsport Manager at Adelaide 500, to present the prize to the third
Park. You
place
see the
in
bend written on the
GT3
side
category.
of Yasser Shahin's number 74 entry. And that is about, now there's a man who's instrumental in motorsport in Australia. Jeff Mattner, very, very instrumental in the Adelaide event.
Thank you.
A powerhouse back there in Oz.
接下来将为大家宣布的是获得倍耐力最快圈速奖 Next winner of the Rally Best Lap is Mr. Andrew Harrianto from Romex Team. Congratulations! 恭喜获得倍耐力最快圈速的车手是来自 Romex Team 的 Andrew Harrianto， 再次把掌声送给他。Now may I invite Miss Rebecca Lee, Rally APAC Motorsport Marketing and PR Manager to
Shuns the media a little bit. We don't see a lot of Jingzhu, but he will be more than happy with this result. Rebecca Lee from Pirelli, congratulating the man who set the fastest lap of this race.
Now let's take a group photo of all the winners.
So photographs, and then we will be going through to the press conference where we'll hear from all the drivers. There will be a couple of pressing questions. I'm sure that will be fired at the drivers, but Jingzhu can't highlight enough just how good his performance has been today. And he has put himself at the top of the list of drivers that will qualify for the 2019 Spa 24-hour race in an entry from Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia. Of course, that will be, well, it's likely to be the new Evo model of the Audi Sport R8 LMS GT3. Andrew's celebrating on his own, but we will hear from all the drivers shortly. So what a great race that was. Nice to see the ultimate result with drivers running through this round, 16-lap race journey. Let's go back through the results of the round. And of course, that win provisionally has gone to Andrew Harrianto. Second across the line. It was quite a big win for the Indonesian driver in the end, 19.6 seconds. Jingzhu taking that position. Now here is the GT4 podium. That is Hangeng. You can hear the crowd going nuts in the grandstand already. Second to Anderson Tanoto, the Indonesian driver. A fair bit of hard work for Hangeng. Taking a few deep breaths up there on the top step of the podium. Very fit man, of course. Part of his role in television and the big screen as an action star in China. And, well, this might promote Anderson Tanoto to action star of Indonesia.
May I invite Mr. Liu Jianquan, General Manager of Ningbo International Speed Park, to the stage and present the prize to the winner of GT4 Group. 有请明泰赛道管理宁波有限公司总经理刘建全先生为冠军颁奖，恭喜！ As an added bonus, we also have an honor cell phone for the winner. 我们同时呢也为 GT4 组别的冠军送上一台荣耀手机。Next, let's invite Mr. Ellery Fong, driver mentor of Audi Sport R8M, stop to the stage and present the prize to second place. 有请奥迪运动 R8MSP 车手导师方俊宇，我们的第二名车手颁奖，恭喜！恭喜，谢谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。Now, please. Let me announce that the winner in GTC category is Mr. Jeffrey Z from Speedway Z Racing Team. 恭喜获得 GTC 组别冠军的车手是来自 Speedway Z Racing Team 车队的徐领笑，恭喜，有请。 Now may I invite Mr. Frankie Chen, driver, mentor of Audi Sport R8 MS Cup, to present the prize for winner in GTC category. 有请奥迪运动 R8 MS 杯车手导师陈从夫先生为我们 GTC 组别的获胜车
So
手颁
on the third step of the podium, not the GT4 winner, of course, that is the winner of the Cup entry for the Generation 1 Audi R8 LMS. And that, of course, on his debut in the Cup this year is Jeffrey Zhu. He is right of screen, left of screen is Hungang in the middle. Indonesia's Anderson Tanoto. We'd be happy to finish this race with all four wheels. Of course, a dramatic finish, a couple of corners from home for round 4 of the championship, the Nürburgring event. He got cleaned up by one of the German GT4 entries, just making a last-second dive. And unfortunately, that contact effectively destroyed the left front of Anderson Tanoto's car. He was so determined to make the podium in that race. He carried on, crossed the line with the left front wheel sparking its way down the main straight. But the car crossed the line to hand him position number 3 and a podium result. To convert that now into victory in round 5 of the championship. He's very happy, and no doubt he will become a famous man within China too, as the man who beat Hungang during Hungang's maiden run in the Cup here this weekend at Ningbo International Speed Park. So before too much longer, we will go on to the press conference for round 5 of the championship. Stay with us and make sure you follow all the various social media platforms in both English and Chinese, and also the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup website.